There's this really ancient story about a temptation out in the wilderness, but it perfectly captures a modern psychological trap. It's this constant nagging pressure to prove our worth. And it's a trap so common, most of us don't even realize we're in it. So here's how the story goes. After 40 days of fasting in the desert, Jesus is confronted by a tempter. And this tempter offers what sounds like a pretty simple fix for his hunger. It's a challenge, right? Dropped in a moment of total vulnerability. But the real test, you'll see, isn't about hunger at all. So is this challenge really about satisfying a physical need or, showing off some kind of miracle? Or is it something way more subtle? And that right there is the question we're digging into. Is this just a test of power, or is it a very, very carefully laid trap for the soul? Okay, so to really get what this trap is all about, we have to look past the obvious, right? We have to see what's really happening just beneath the surface of this whole temptation. The real temptation here isn't about eating. Not really. It's an invitation to be useful. It's that little whisper that says, go on, solve the problem, turn scarcity into plenty. And in doing that, you'll prove that your value comes from what you can do. Now, this powerful impulse, this really deep-seated need to be useful, it actually has a name. The theologian Henri Nouwen, he saw this as a psycho-spiritual trap, and he called it the illusion of relevance. So, the temptation of relevance is basically this powerful drive to define ourselves by our productivity. It's that subtle, slippery shift where who you are gets totally replaced by what you accomplish, and suddenly your entire value becomes your function. And the logic of this trap, well, it follows a pretty simple three-step playbook. First, a need gets identified. Turn these stones into bread. Second, you're invited to become the solution, the fixer. And third, and this is the knockout punch, you start to tie your personal worth directly to your ability to solve that problem. Does any of this sound a little familiar? Yeah. This isn't just some ancient story. It's the rhythm of our modern lives. It's that compulsion to answer just one more email, to solve one more problem for someone else. We get that quiet little rush from being needed, right? From feeling indispensable. But what happens when that feeling goes away? Well, that rush of being needed, of feeling indispensable, it comes with a pretty steep price tag. So let's talk about the real cost of living inside this illusion of usefulness. Psychologists have a term for this, contingent self-esteem. It just means your self-worth depends on something outside of you. So it's not stable anymore. It's a roller coaster that shoots up with praise and absolutely collapses with failure. It makes your entire sense of who you are incredibly fragile. In this mindset, it becomes a direct pipeline to anxiety, that constant fear of not measuring up. It fuels stress from the endless pressure to keep performing. And ultimately, it can lead to this profound sense of emptiness because no amount of achievement can satisfy that core need to feel worthy just for being you. So, at the end of the day, we end up making a trade. We exchange a state of being, just knowing we are inherently enough, for a state of constant doing, where we feel like we have to prove over and over that we're productive, competent, and needed. We're trading our core identity for a job description. And the spiritual cost is huge. We start projecting this transactional logic onto our relationship with the divine. We start to believe that even God's love has to be earned through our performance. And instead of healing our shame, all this constant striving just digs it in deeper. So, what's the way out of this trap? Well, the original story gives us an answer that is so simple, yet it completely flips the entire temptation on its head. The response is a direct refusal of the trap's entire logic. One does not live by bread alone. It basically argues that true sustenance, what really truly gives us life, isn't found in the bread we create through our own usefulness. Instead, real sustenance, real life, is found not in performance, but in relationship. True life comes from connection, from receiving something from a source that's way beyond our own frantic efforts to be productive. So this points us toward a final and honestly a pretty counterintuitive path. The way out isn't about doing more. It might just be about learning how to do a whole lot less. And this brings up a pretty provocative question. What if we fasted from our need to fix everything? I mean, what if, just for a little while, we resisted the urge to be the solution and just allowed things and ourselves to just be? Because it's in those moments of what the world might call uselessness that we can find something sacred. We create the space to rediscover the one thing that productivity can never ever give us, our inherent, unearnable worth. Which brings us to the question that's been hiding underneath this entire discussion, the one we are all deep down afraid to ask. If I stop producing, if I am no longer useful to other people, am I still worthy of love?
The answer this story gives us is both simple and life-changing. You do not need to turn stones into bread to be loved. Your worth is not in your utility. It's just in your being. And maybe, just maybe, the greatest relevance we can ever find comes not from all our striving, but from simply accepting that we are already enough.